Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com. Today I have a filler video. So actually the fact of the matter is I have started to get ready to go out and do some more of my one-man band gigs. And I've been out of circulation for 2 years, almost 3 years, because of the thing, so I got a lot of practicing to do. It's one thing to like sing in the shower. It's another thing to be able to sing 3 or possibly 4 hours in a row, especially when you're in your 50s like I am. And I've got to build up the ability to play guitar and play keyboards and sing for 3 or possibly 4 big long sets. So I got a lot of practicing to do. I think this will probably take me about a month to get ready. So anyway, what I really want to do is I want to do a video series on my live setup. And my live setup is basically these 2 big boys, the 2 EV speakers, plus the EV subwoofer that you can't see, plus keyboard, plus this table. And this table I've got HX Stomp, I've got an audio interface, I've got power conditioner, mixing board, and of course laptop. And I've got this little box here, the DMXs, which is what I use to have my computer control the lights, but that's for a future episode. I want to go through the whole rig, and I don't want to just do a quickie job. I want to do like a good job and explain how, if you want to do kind of like a solo performer thing, you can do it with a microphone, a speaker, and an acoustic guitar, all the way up to computer controlled lights, backing tracks, and all kinds of jazz. So anyway, I've mostly spent the entire week working on getting everything wired up and remembering how to computerize the lights and all that. So I haven't really had time to film a proper video. And so I've had this topic down for a while, and that is I wanted to tell you the story of how I got yelled at by Paul Stanley. Okay, so I grew up in a suburb of Rochester, New York. Now, Rochester, New York was a town that for some reason on the local rock radio stations, they decided Kiss was not cool and never played Kiss. And not coincidentally, Kiss never came to Rochester back in those days. So the first time I got the opportunity to see the band was on the Creatures of the Night tour. Now, if you're a Kiss fan, you know what changed for Creatures of the Night. On the album cover, there's Ace Frehley. On the record, there's no Ace Frehley. So, even at the age I was at when that album came out, when I listened to that album, I'm like, that's not Ace Frehley on lead guitar. It's just not. I could tell it wasn't. So we show up, and here's Vinnie Vincent with like a big key symbol on his face, or whatever the heck it was supposed to be. And it was great to see Kiss, even though Ace wasn't there. And, smaller stage shows, kind of hard times for the band. But, it was still great to see him. And I was like, yeah, it's cool that I got a chance to see them. And I eventually moved down to Florida. I lived near Tampa, and the reunion tour came up. So this time I did get a chance to see Ace. So the very first Kiss reunion tour, I got a chance to see it in Tampa. And we were, I don't know what our seats were, but it was something like within the first 10 rows. It was like 5th row or something like that. So, we were close up to the stage. The way the PA was set up, a lot of the subs, I think, were on the floor. And so the mix on the floor where we were wasn't great. It sounded good. The band sounded good, but the low frequencies were way louder than they probably seemed to the rest of the audience. But I didn't care. It was still wonderful. So here I am. I'm transported back in time to being 12 years old and looking at my Alive 2 record, double album. And here's my heroes up on the stage. It was just wonderful. I would say, definitely the top 5 concerts that I've ever seen. So glad I had a chance to see them. So if you can imagine the scene, I'm just like I'm starstruck because these guys were, I grew up idolizing these guys. So get to the last song. They're doing Shout It Out Loud. And the whole place is going nuts. Everybody's on their feet. Everybody's singing the chorus, shout it out loud, and they're about to fire off the confetti cannons and everybody's singing. And I remember just standing there staring at Paul Stanley. It was like I was in a trance. It was like, that's Paul Stanley up on that stage. Wow, I can't believe that I'm actually here. Oh, this is so cool. Wow, he sounds really good. There's all these thoughts going through my head. I'm standing there like this. Just kind of staring at him. Unaware that everybody around me is singing their head off and jumping up and down. There was no crowd. I was just all in my head. So Paul's playing, he's singing, and he looks directly at me. And he goes, "Come on!" And and it was at that point in time that I snapped out of it and I realized, oh my God, how crazy I must look. Everybody around me is jumping up and singing. Like I said, it's like fifth row. And here I am like a statue. So at first I was like, oh, embarrassed. And then I just started laughing because I got yelled at by Paul Stanley. And I laughed and I started singing as loud as I could. And I was jumping around. And he's up on stage playing guitar. About 10 seconds later, he checks back in with me. He looks at me and he sees that I'm having a good time. And he looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, like that." It's a cool story, right? It's true. It actually happened. There's actually another story. This is not Paul Stanley, and this happened years earlier. This happened about 10 years earlier. You think I would have learned my lesson? I saw the band Crowded House on the Woodface tour, and I saw them in Buffalo in a big club that held probably 1,000 people. And I did the same thing without realizing it to Neil Finn, the lead singer of the band. There was a point in the show where Neil came down off in front of the stage and he had his mic set up and his guitar and he's singing and playing and everybody around him is dancing. And here's me, the idiot. This is another guy I idolize. And I'm standing there with my arms at my shoulders and I'm just staring at Neil Finn. I'm like, that's Neil Finn. Oh, this is so cool. God, how did he write all those great songs? Only this time, what happened is he looked at me and for about 2 seconds, he got this scared look on his face. And as soon as I saw that, we made eye contact, he looked scared and I kind of panicked. I was like, oh no, I didn't mean, I must have looked like a psycho killer or something. How awful is that? That happened 10 years before the Paul Stanley story. I probably should have told this in the other order. But what a terrible thing. I felt so bad. Years later, Crowded House had a website and they had like a form you could fill out to submit something. And I just wanted to, I'd fill out the form and it would never reach Neil. But I had to fill it out anyway and just say, hey, I don't know if you remember, I'm that guy in Buffalo. I'm really, really sorry. I'm actually a super fan. But, I went to, the form was broken. The web form was broken. Didn't get a chance to do that. About a month ago, I went to neilfinn.com and there was a contact us link. So I did the same thing. I said, listen, this happened 25, 30, this happened over 30 years ago. And here's what happened. And I'm really, really sorry. I don't even know if Neil remembers, etc. So the next day I get an email back from Neil's webmaster. And he basically says, listen, Neil gets these kind of emails all the time. I guarantee you he doesn't even remember it. And I know he'd probably just say, hey, don't worry about it, mate. So I didn't get an email back from Neil, but I got an email from his webmaster. So since I'm padding out this video, since I don't have a real topic, just a couple of other concert memories. I saw the Rolling Stones on the Tattoo You tour. And Mick Jagger, he was very charismatic. The Stones sounded good. I saw him in the Syracuse Carrier Dome. So what I really heard, because we were sitting up high, is I heard the band and then I heard the echo off the back wall. And it was kind of like two bands playing at the same time. The Carrier Dome is not a good place to see concerts unless you're directly in front of a speaker. But it was still cool seeing the Stones. And you would think that Mick Jagger was the most awe-inspiring performer that I've ever seen. But that title goes to David Bowie. I saw the David Bowie Serious Moonlight Tour, you know, Let's Dance and all that. And he walked out on stage, and I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like the charisma that guy had. Obviously, I'm like a big Bowie fan, but to see him in person was... That concert, along with the Kiss reunion tour, is definitely in my top 5. I'm not sure that I could tell you the rest of my top 5. I love an artist named Jonathan Brooke, and I saw her like I was sitting in front of the stage. That was a good show. I saw Genesis on the Abacab tour. They were really good. Saw Rush on the Moving Pictures tour. That's another top 5. They were amazing. They were absolutely amazing, Moving Pictures. I saw Peter Gabriel on the Security tour and Peter Gabriel on the So tour. That's probably another top 5. Seen a lot of great shows. You know, I'm sorry that this week was just a concert memories video. I figure I kind of always wanted to tell my Paul Stanley story, and now I've told it. I'm going to try, now that I've got everything wired up and set up, I'm going to try to walk you through some of this stuff, because there may be some people out there who are interested in doing gigs like all by themselves. So I'm going to kind of show you how to put together a really good setup for just acoustic guitar, all the way up through multiple guitars, keyboard, software synths, computer controlled lights, computer switching patches on the HX Stomp. We'll go through like the whole deal. I'll probably do more than one episode on it. Also upcoming is some more guitar setup videos. I'm going to do a setup video on my PRS S2 Satin 24. That I think is going to be coming up soon. But anyway, if you made it this far into today's concert memories video, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, do me a favor and consider it. It helps the channel. And I will see you again next Friday, where I explain a lot of this stuff at 5.